Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very special show tonight, and I'm so glad that I will ask, of course, US Navy Captain Garri Tabach to introduce our very special, beautiful guest to our audience. So please, Garri, let's begin.
Thank you, beautiful Maria. And today I'm double beautiful Marias. So now I can make a wish, right? And of course, we all wish for the same thing, most of us. And I am honored. I'm truly, truly honored to introduce Maria Maalouf, right? I hope I
Yeah.
pronounced your name, Maalouf, because I know her much, much longer than she knows me. I know her from 2017, and I've mentioned and I've talked about her on many of our shows and my shows. And I'm saying, why are the Arab women that speak out and for justice, for America, for Israel, for freedom of other women and men are very often very quiet. And I talked about her because she's in 2017. She was very straightforward and she called for the death for Solim Nasrallah.
Nasrallah.
Nasrallah for Nasrallah, and she actually said that he needs to be killed. And it was of course, it was an uproar and a nightmare, and her life was threatened. And of course, she was, a lot of attacks against her, but she stood like a real trooper. And then just recently, we had an interview because our mutual friend introduced us, but I knew about her for many, many years. So,
Yeah.
Maria, thank you very much for joining us. We know you're very, very busy because now with the war and with you being a journalist and with you being in Washington and being very active with America First and MAGA movement and all these things. So I'm going to hand you over to beautiful Maria, to my partner right away, and she's going to ask you first question. Go ahead, Maria.
Wow, I thought the first question is going to be asked by Gary, but if I have that
Ladies
chance,
first.
thank you. I would ask Maria, what do you think about what's happening right now? I would, of course, ask you to give your opinion about the magnificent Operation Epic Fury, and of course, you are the Maria Maga, and everyone knows you also in X as Maria Maga. I wish I am also becoming Maria Maga one day, but I am the small Maria Maga, so to say, and you're the great
Yeah,
one.
in Ukraine, you're a pretty big MAGA.
Yeah, of course, everyone, we are completing each other. Thank you for the question. Let me start by answer. I live in Washington, D.C. I've heard lots of comment from the Democrats because it's a Democrat city. So me and Gary were like talking about why the Democrats have criticizing the president for Iran war, the Epic Fury. I'm going to start from this point, and then I will give you some details about the war. Where are we? What is the president thinking of the allies? And I think there is some voices asking Trump, why you put us in this situation? We didn't want war. So I want to be clear. I want to explain as an Middle Eastern origin what's going on. First, the Democrats, and especially in, we call it here the swamp. So in DC, they are opposing President Trump for this war. And this opposition is back years ago. So they are... they oppose him for the withdrawal from the Iranian nuclear deal. They opposing him because he put sanctions, and now he's taking very, very strong actions. So there is no more diplomacy like they want. Iran used to be funding al-Irhab, terrorism, and Iran is the bully of the Middle East, as he said. So today they criticize the war for three reasons. The first one is they say it's illegal. He didn't took approval from the Congress. The second reason is they they claim that Iran was not a direct threat. And the third thing is that they fear that the Middle East will drag the United States and this war will cost a lot. From my perspective as a MAGA supporter, the president is about, he's a strong president, nobody dare to do what he is doing. So his approach is not a sign of weakness. He learned from the failures of past administrations, especially the Democrats, who they gave Iran, Obama gave Iran billions of dollars under the nuclear deal, and Iran got more aggression in return. So they didn't stop funding Hamas, Hezbollah, and all the proxies, the Houthis in Yemen. So the president believes in peace through strength, and we know this doctrine, ideology. You deter Iran by showing power, you protect American lives, and we support allies instead of apologizing like the Democrats do for the enemies. I want to just quote the president. What he said lately, he was clear about this, and he said the United States is fully capable of reopening the Strait of Hormuz. And you know, the Strait of Hormuz now is threatening the region, the oil market. So, and he don't need the NATO for this or any other allies. So he will restore the Strait of Hormuz, and also he wanted to let his allies be sure that America will never leave them. He said any attacks on countries like the United Arab Emirates will not weaken them. They will come back stronger, more secure, and more united. So I believe in this doctrine, and the bottom line is very clear. There is no chaos. It's a reset of the world order. And under the president, I believe that the region will be more safe, it will be more stronger, not weaker like it was during Biden administration. So this is my view about the war.
You know, it's a very sad that they never gave President Trump a chance, never, not even one. And I always want to ask all these women rights organizations, you know, where are your protests when all these women were just killed and murdered in Iran, and we're coming to rescue this? Considering that they're using that old thing that it's illegal because he starts a war without approval from Congress. I never heard of them saying this when Yugoslavia was bombed on orders of President Clinton, that was illegal, or even his actions in the Oval Office with his subordinate. Even that was not really a problem for them with the women's rights and all those things. So, of course, this is just so cynical on their part and so damaging. That's unbelievable. But also, what do you think is happening now on the front with Lebanon? With the Israelis are pulling in there. I know this is a very close issue with you, and our Israelis are using it now while everybody's paying attention to Iran, and they can sneak in there and.
Yeah, absolutely. Lebanon now is like, it has always been a sensitive geographically speaking. Like we know that it's dominated by Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is an Iranian proxy. It's a militia. It's a terrorist organization designated by U.S. and by many countries support this designation. So policymakers, and here in Washington, D.C., in the Capital Institute, we put some recommendation in this framework. So disarming Hezbollah is very significant. We have to weaken the military capacity. We have to reinserting Lebanese state sovereignty over all Lebanon land, all the territories. And we have to align Lebanon with broader regional normalization like we did with the Abraham Accords. So when we have non-state armed actors that are undermining governance, economic recovery and international integration. يعني this is what we want, and the World Bank has some advice in this regard. So in Lebanon, the case is when you have a state inside the state and it's influencing everything. So this is the primary barrier to reform. So now we have to thank the President Trump, for doing this war and going into weakening the regime, the Ayatollah regime, because if the Iranian influence, regional influence decline, Hezbollah capacity will go to zero, will diminish. So now we have the opportunity as Lebanese to create to have institutional rebuilding, to have economic stabilization, and I'm sure that Lebanon cannot have real sovereignty as long as Hezbollah operates and is dragging it's dragging Lebanon into a war. So we have to end this. And let me talk about Israel, because I was the first person to raise the voice against Hezbollah, and I was accused as a traitor. So I just want to explain for the Lebanese or for our viewers, and I will post this interview on my platform so they know
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. Israel
Thank you.
actions now has to be explained. It's misunderstood in the context. So the reality is Israel is not caring to occupy Lebanon. It's the problem is in the Lebanese itself. The deeper issue is the existence of Hezbollah as an armed force outside the government, outside the state control. So now Israel is targeting on a daily basis members of Hezbollah. They are targeting hotels and targeting buildings and areas. Usually they don't target these areas, but these people are taking the Lebanese as a human shield, and they are hiding into military, into
They're terrorists.
civil. Yeah, civil zones. Like why you go to a building, to hospital to hide? Why you go to hotel you hide? Leave the people alone. Let the Lebanese live their life like it was before 1960. So when Israel targets Hezbollah infrastructure, they are not attacking Lebanon or Lebanese sovereignty. It's exposing the fact that sovereignty has already been compromised. So the instability has to have an end, and when Israel target Hezbollah, it's a strike. They want to weaken Hezbollah, and we have to thank them. So without that shift, there is no reform, there is no economic recovery, and there is no true independence that can be achieved. So because I'm a MAGA supporter, I have to support Lebanon, we have to support Ukraine, we have to raise the voices against all terrorist groups that are dragging the region into a chaos, and this is what their agenda. So when we say we want sovereignty, liberty, and freedom and independence in Lebanon, it's not a slogan, it's a warning. And I was the first to warn the community in Lebanon and the politicians about they have to act, because now it's serious. Today, this reality is becoming very aggressive against the people. We are paying the price, the people of Lebanon. So we have to be strong and stay united and confront Hezbollah, because they are the enemy, the real enemy of my country. They are the real threat. Iran did to Lebanon and execute war crime that are much in a high level than what did Israel. Israel now is not the enemy. So, and I want to say that without the president of the United States, President Donald Trump, the 45 and 47 president, we wouldn't have this clear view, we don't have this clear path. So because he is strong, and we have to take the opportunity that we have a strong president, not a sleepy Joe in the Oval Office. So we have to move into a direct confrontation with Iran. We have to support his views, his vision toward his foreign policy. And I'm sure that he don't want to have an endless war. He made a very strategic, decisive action after years of unchecked escalation. So Trump's strategy is consistent and enforce red lines and make it clear that attacks on U.S., on allies of the U.S. Will not be unanswered. And we're so lucky to have this president, and I think he's a winner, and we are on the side of winners, as you said, Gary, once in my show.
May
Well,
I ask one question, Gary?
Yeah, well, let me just follow up on what Maria said, and then of course, also I want to say that Maria is very distinguished, and she has lots of achievements that we don't have time to say it on our show, but people can Google it, and you'll see it, all of it. So you'll see that she's not just a journalist; she's a great. She's huge. So in any event, but in what you're trying to say is that because we Americans, along with our partners, Israeli partners, are now getting rid of this horrible regime that's been there for 40 some years in Iran, in a sense, it also helps Lebanon. It also helps to get rid of the Hezbollah there, because they're not going to get paid and when you don't get paid, it's much harder to operate a terrorist organization. And hopefully then the United Nations and our democratic side of our country will also stop financing them, and that way the Lebanon will also be able to get back to where it was, that pearl of the Middle East, where we'd all go as tourists and enjoy ourselves. So go ahead, Maria. I'm sorry.
I want to ask one question, because I was following a lot to see how Lebanon changes or has changed in those past years. And now I see you a flourishing, a beautiful woman. And I think I was just, while listening to you, that's just a vision that came to me. Is it possible in that, because Lebanon changed a lot. Before, there was the Christian majority and women had all rights and they had all education and so on. But now there is what we have, as in Ukraine, we say we have what we have. Would that be possible, that there will be a strong opposition, and that Maria Maga Maalouf would be the president of Lebanon one day? Why I ask that question is also because you are coming from a very special, great, unique family. It's huge, as just said Gary. And what do you think? Sorry if maybe I ask some personal questions. Would it be possible for the Lebanese society of today to choose a woman as a president?
Well, I wish that, and we're gonna work on it. My current position is here in the United States as a nonprofit organization founder. We are exactly not lobbying, myself, I'm not lobbying for Lebanon, but I'm part of many organizations that have the ability to talk to Congress and to raise the voice to end the Hezbollah occupation. Women in Lebanon had the right to vote in 1958, so we are a very advanced country. We believe in democracy. As you said, we were the Paris of the Middle East. The banking system was great. Our lifestyle was amazing. We were like just like Dubai these days. Lebanon was the same. So the issue is Hezbollah destroyed every beautiful aspect of Lebanon, but the constitution of Lebanon, which is later called At-Ta'if after ending the civil war, and we have to say that Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri has a great role in bringing security and stability and ending the war in Lebanon with the Saudi help. They had the big reform or new constitution that always kept the rights for the Christians with the Muslims and the all minority, because Lebanon is created with 17 confessions. So we all live together in a great mosaic. But unfortunately, after all this effort, we had stability and prosperity for a few years. But after 2006, or we can say Hezbollah was acting as a real resistance, and before 2006, we were like feeling that he's protecting us from Israel, but it was a big lie. He fooled us, and he was working for Iranian agenda for Wilayat al-Faqih, and his war, it's a religious war. It has nothing to do with the concept of Lebanon, that the Pope of the Vatican said Lebanon is a message. It's not a simple country. It's a message for the world to live in peace. And let's be honest, we tried war, and then Hezbollah, after the war with Israel in 2006, he was bluffing us. He was saying you are winning, and we said the illusion. They were like dragging Lebanon, and year after year until I discovered this the earliest. I was the earlier one to talk about it, and I had threatened many threats, and I have many warrant arrest in absentia against me in Lebanon. So what we need now, it's a real reform, and we have to believe in peace. We have to believe that living with our neighbors in a very a good atmosphere is important. We have to be independent. We have to have a real military. We have to lead our country, and the government has to be strong. We don't need fundamentalist, lunatic ideas like the one in the Mullah regime. In the Mullah regime, this lunatic ideas has to be destroyed in an endless way. There is no go back about this, because it's a global problem and it's a regional issue. We have to win this war, and this is what we count about. Lebanon will follow if Iran, the snake, we say in Arabic, al-hayy, the snake is like we cut the head of the snake. All these proxies will be useless, and will not have no power on Lebanon, on any Lebanese people. So this is what we wish, and this is what we're working for.
This is how they say in Ukraine, to cut the head of the snake. But Maria, I was trying to very quickly. You and I talked about it in your program about the problem in Ukraine, that we're facing the same one as you do in Lebanon. You're trying to send a message in Lebanon that Israel is not the enemy; it's the Hamas and the Iran, and all those, as you say, lunatics are the enemy, even though that they may share the same race or the same religious belief. But Maria and I are probably very few people, and I think maybe just two of us are in Ukraine, who are trying to pass the same message to the Ukrainian people, that President Trump is not the enemy, that MAGA is not the enemy. It is actually the liberal side, it is the left side, that is the enemy, the global Soros's ideology that is the enemy. And I think that our president is getting a bit frustrated. What do you think? Will the president of the United States will eventually quit on Ukraine, or will we continue to fight for it?
You know better about Ukraine, but what can I say?
But you know the Washington, and you know the White
in
House.
Washington, from our view, I just think the president don't want a continuing war in Ukraine. He don't want risk becoming endless. He don't want no clear win, no clear strategy, and a huge cost for the American people. You know that.
Yes.
So we've already seen tens of billions of dollars sent overseas, while Americans are asking what is the end game. So I think the president, and I was looking at his latest perspective on this, he wants to stop the war, stop the bleeding, and push for a deal. But I want to tell you here about Ukraine from Ukraine, because we have only 4 minutes left for my next meeting. Ukraine is not only Ukraine by itself. The war in Ukraine and the confrontation with Iran are actually connected in many levels and in major ways. So we have the same enemy. We have Iran has been supporting Russia in the Ukraine war. Now Russia is supporting Iran and China as well. So when you deal with Iran, you are also weakening a key partner of Russia. So second, with the war of Ukraine, the resources and the focus, when the US is engaged in Ukraine, we need funding, we need attention, we need military resources. Now with Iran, President Trump is maybe prioritizing the bigger strategic threat from the Middle East in the Middle East, and he wants to prevent a wider regional war. If we don't stop Iran, the entire region could explode. Meanwhile, I want to just mention what the United Arab Emirates, because when I left Lebanon, I went to UAE, and it was my second home before to move to the United States. I never been out of the United States since I was a journalist 2002 when I started my career, and my family is American, I'm as well. But I want to mention, because our allies now they are in fear. They are not in fear. They are like in stress. They have a stressing moment. For the Ukraine, I just googled about what the United Arab Emirates played what the role they played as a strategic and balanced role. With Russia, they did a mediation, humanitarian offers. The UAE emerged as a key diplomatic mediator. They facilitated multiple prisoner exchange, and they maintained a careful geopolitical balance. So this approach that the UAE did with the blessing of the United States reflects a very strong strategy of de-escalation and stability. So the UAE has positioned itself as a country that as a real ally with the United States, and it helps some discussions with the Russians to make the prisoner sweeps successful. This is my just point I want to mention.
Thank you very much, Maria. We really, really appreciate. We know how busy you are, and I hope, and I know Masha, Maria, the other Maria joins me, and that you will come and spend some time with us again sometime soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Glad to meet you. Hope to see you in person.
Thank you so much. We too a lot. Thank you.
Have a great day.
We'll be in Washington. We'll be in Mar-a-Lago this summer.
Yeah. I'll see you on April 16. Yeah. With the people.
Wait.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.